Sixers fans, what's up, dude? Guys, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. Today, in a few hours, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, the NBA free agency period will start off. I want to talk about my three guys who I think would be the best fit in Philadelphia, who guys I think they should look for. And I also want to talk about some Tobias Harris things since my Twitter's been low-key blowing up the past 24 hours. If you don't follow it, it's at Sixers Greg. It's worth the follow. It's super entertaining right now. There's a lot going on. This is the best time of the year as a Sixers fan is free agency, especially right now because it seems as though the Sixers are pushing to win the margins. My motto for this offseason has been win the margins. The Sixers finally seem to be taking the approach of not big star hunting and going after on the bench and going at get some guys on the bench to win the margins, add some toughness, add some culture, add some things that the Sixers have been missing over the past couple of seasons. And I think a lot of it's thanks to Embiid coming out and talking to management about how he wants to bring in tougher guys and how he wants to bring in more of culture guys. And I think that's a big thing that's driving Morey home right now in order to get guys like PJ Tucker. I really want to talk about all of this. Let's get into it. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, join the family, the community, do all the kit and caboodle. Let's get to 2,000 subscribers. That's the goal right now. And follow my Twitter at SixersGreg. It's worth it. So last night I made quite a expectation. I made a prediction, I should say. According to my sources close to me, Tobias Harris is going to be traded within the next 48 hours out of Philadelphia. And I received a lot of hate for this. I received a lot of backlash from this. A lot of who is this Greg Melly guy? But over the last 45 minutes to an hour, there have been rumors of Tobias Harris going to the Utah Jazz. The deal would entail Matisse Thybulle and Tobias Harris to Utah for some filler, Ruis O'Neill and Bojan Bogdanovic. Now, I would like to say right now, this is an absolute incredible steal of a deal if Philadelphia can pull off something like this. I say that because Bojan is on a smaller contract, and he is way more of a prototypical stretch four. And those are the things that you really just truly need in Philadelphia right now to put alongside Embiid. Tobias Harris, as much as he is a good NBA player, don't get me wrong, he just does not fit in Philadelphia. He's a guy who just wants to be an ISO ball type of guy and is unable to really connect well with the rest of the roster around him, especially with the rumors coming out after the postseason saying that he wants to be more of a guy with the ball in his hands. When I saw that and read that, I took that as a trade request. Tobias Harris is not the type of guy that wants to be like, get me out of here. But I think that is his way of saying, I'm out of here. I need to get out of here. It just isn't going to work out. And also, if you really look at it and break it down a little bit, Tobias Harris is not Daryl Morey's guy. Morey came in after the Brand regime, I should say, and really tried to fix a lot of the problems almost immediately, trading Al Horford, trading Josh Richardson, getting a lot of things back in return that was just a better fit. It wasn't about getting equal talent. It was about getting better fits alongside Joel Embiid and at the time, Ben Simmons. And it worked, It really did work. I know Horford has had a good season, a bounce-back, resurgent season with Boston, but in Philadelphia, he was not that. And his contract, if you believe it or not, is still not a good contract to have on the books. And I think that it was a great move. And I think Morey is continuing on this path of trying to fix what was broken in the past regime. And I think Tobias Harris is the next up move. And I would absolutely love to bring in Bojan, who is a prototypical stretch four. He's not going to bring much on the defensive end, but he's going to give you far more consistent and much higher volume three-point shooting, which is just going to round out an offense on the starting five, which is huge. And especially if the Sixers bring in, as expected, PJ Tucker. Defense at the four is not going to be a monster issue because PJ Tucker will be that defensive guy. And he's also another guy who can shoot over 40% from three, which is, again, huge for this Sixers team. Bogdanovic would be a marginal win. It would be a win. He is paid more than a marginal guy, and he's probably production-wise a little bit better than a marginal guy. But when it comes to Philadelphia not needing a 1, 2, or 3 option on the offensive side, Bogdanovic would be a seamless fit in the starting lineup alongside Embiid. And he's a guy who can light it up for 25 on any given night if his shot just starts falling. He can go 7 of 13 from 3, and that's a win right there. I also want to talk about Ruis O'Neill, who is a very similar player to Matisse Thybulle. I think Matisse is a guy who you simply cannot compare to other guys because it's not that he's a generational defender, but he is arguably the most unique defender the NBA has ever seen. He is the only guy I think I could ever possibly name that purposely allows his matchup to beat him so he can follow through with a block from behind. And he's a good defender. Matisse is very good, but I think he is the perfect example as to why the eye test is important, because statistically, Matisse Thybulle looks like an absolute generational player on the defensive end. But in reality, defensively, he gets beat far too often. And if it weren't for Joel Embiid to make up for 70% of his mistakes, Matisse would be a much worse defender in the books. And I think that's something other teams would quickly find out if they don't have a guy that could shut down and help Matisse when he gets beat. But I think Utah is a great place for Matisse Thybulle. If anything, it arguably could be a better fit in Utah than it would be in Philadelphia, because Gobert is what we would call a generational defender. He's one of the best interior defenders I've ever seen in my life, if not the best. And so I think Matisse would still be able to play the game of basketball and his brand of basketball that he wants to play. So I think that would be a good deal. Ruis O'Neill would come in and bring us a little bit more shooting. He's still not a great three-point shooter, but he is not a huge fall off on the defensive end, and he's also a very tough guy. He's not a guy who's going to be getting 20 minutes a night. He's a guy who would probably see closer to 10, but he is a very good 10-minute guy. That's good value for a guy who has been in the NBA now for a pretty decent amount of years and knows his role relatively well and has been on pretty solid winning teams in the past as well. I think that would be a very good, interesting move for both teams. Maybe not Utah so much with Tobias. I don't really know if Tobias fits anywhere that is trying to compete right now, simply for his play style and lack of ability to adjust and help his teammates be better players. That's just, Tobias is not very good at that. Now let me take a quick sip from the sponsor, C4. Gets me through the day. It's not really a sponsor. I just was running out of breath. I needed to take a breath. So it's going to lead me to a couple of guys who I think the Sixers should definitely look at right now in free agency when free agency opens up in a few hours. I think one of my biggest guys who I would really like seeing in Philadelphia that's realistic as well would be either Cody Martin from the Charlotte Hornets, a guy who can shoot around and hover around 40% from three, but is also giving you 3-and-D ability, a guy who's gotten better every single season in the NBA, and Lonnie Walker. Lonnie Walker is a guy who I am extremely high on. And you may not be as high on him as I am, because he only shot the ball 32% from three last year, and that's not good. But the way I see it is he is a career 34% three-point shooter, which is slightly below league average. But still, last year, he averaged over 12 points a game, and he is a phenomenal defender. He's a guy who knows how to just defend his position and is a freak athlete, and a guy who shot the ball at 40% from the field and 31% from three and still managed to get 12 points a game. It shows a lot of upside, because I think, if anything, if his shot continues to improve, as I think it should, he would just become a very, very, very good guy off the bench, to keep it as simple as possible. I don't know if he's truly going to be available. I think that San Antonio will likely bring him back, and if that means they have to match a contract that another team offers elsewhere, I think they would be stupid not to do so. Lonnie Walker is a guy who's gotten better every single season in the NBA. He's one of the most freakish athletes in the entire league. He is a guy who can jump out of the freaking gym, and that is the type of energy that the Sixers need, simply. And he's also a great on-ball defender. He has a very long wingspan. He can jump into passing lanes, and he's a guy who can just bring a lot of toughness and energy into a Sixers team that has been lacking those traits over the past few seasons. Walker is also a Philly guy, which we love. We love bringing home Philly guys. I think Walker would be a great fit in Philadelphia, and I just think he would bring so much energy to a team that seems like it's been dead for the past 2 seasons at least. I think PJ Tucker coming into Philadelphia is going to answer a very big culture problem the Sixers have, and I've been here on my channel, on TJ's channel, on Rom's channel, on any channel that I've been on, saying you can't really overpay for a culture change. They are the most important things when it comes to the NBA, and it's the reason why the same teams win every single year. It's because they have cultures, and I think if you have the ability to go out and spend $10 million a year on a guy who's older, who can still play basketball at a relatively high level, in order to change your culture, you have to do it. especially if the best player on your team, the franchise guy, the city franchise man, the poster boy right here of Philadelphia is asking you and telling you to go out and do that, you do that. PJ Tucker is going to be a good fit in Philadelphia. He's a guy who's going to hit 40% from three from the corner. He's a guy who has a better dribble game than Danny Green. He's going to hit you some solid floaters. He's a guy who I think might surprise a lot of us on how much he still has left in the tank, but also he is the epitome of gritty on defense. He is a great defender. He is a great rebounder. He's going to fight for offensive rebounds. He killed the Sixers in the Miami Heat series last year because he was just out rebounding us over and over and over again. And those are the traits that you really can't overpay for. It's huge what those can do to a Sixers team. And I think it really can change and revitalize the clubhouse in Philadelphia, which is exactly what we need, truly. And I think I'm really looking forward to it. If PJ Tucker is a done deal, I think PJ Tucker is going to round out a bench that seems to be improving each day in Philadelphia. And that's been the problem over my entire lifespan as a Sixers fan. It's the bench has never been good enough. And I think I'm going to come back next year with a lot of optimism if the Sixers bench is a deeper unit than it has been over the past, because that seems to be what kills us every single season. We have too many one-dimensional guys who can't play both ends of the court and just are not bringing toughness, are not bringing what we truly need. And the Sixers seem to be noticing that and wanting to change that. D'Anthony Melton is another perfect tough guy who is going to be jumping and diving all over the court for every loose ball, who is a phenomenal rebounder for his height. He is one of the best rebounding guards for his position. He is one of the best shot blockers at his position. He's in the 98th percentile, as I've said so many times, for shot blocking for guys under 6'5". And he is a 6'9" wingspan type of guy who is only 24 years old and has improved his shot every single season. That's a great pickup. It really, really is. So I'm looking forward to that. And my last guy I think I would be at least intrigued about, I wouldn't be thrilled if the Sixers sign him, but I understand why the Sixers might want to, is Daniel House Jr. It's another Rockets guy. It seems to be weird. The Sixers just want to recreate the Philadelphia Rockets, but I like Daniel House. I think it's a guy we can bring on at the vet minimum contract because he really hasn't been playing a ton of games. He's only ever played over 60 games in a season once, and it was 2019 with the Houston Rockets, and he averaged 11 points a game, which is super solid on 36% from three, which is great, and at almost 6 attempts a game, which is very, very good. We like that. That's exactly where we want guys to be at normally, is league average, but shooting more than league average a night. We really do like that. Last season, he played with 3 different teams. He only scored 6 a night, I believe it was, and he just didn't really have opportunity to really go out there and play. He shot 37% from 3 on a little less than 3 attempts a night, which, again, is above league average normally. And though the volume isn't there, I just think that he is more of a consistent catch-and-shoot guy who can play some pretty solid defense on the other end than we would normally have at the 9th, 10th man. Daniel House is a margin guy. He is probably lower on the margin improvement than guys like PJ Tucker for sure, and Lonnie Walker for sure, and guys like that. But Daniel House, towards the end of free agency, I wouldn't mind seeing him come in on a 1-year minimum contract, something that we would have had offered Paul Millsap. If you look at Daniel House and compare him to Paul Millsap, I think I would take Daniel House 10 times out of 10. Really, given any circumstance. That's kind of how I'm viewing the Sixers right now. And if the Sixers continue to push for 3-and-D athletic forwards, the Sixers will be a much better team next year. I think we're finally going to start realizing that star hunting is not exactly what the Sixers need to do to improve. It's going to come down to the margins. And as my motto has been from the beginning of this offseason, the Philadelphia 76ers have to win the margins. That being said, guys, I'm looking forward to see what's going to happen. Shoot me a message on Twitter if you follow it, Sixers Greg. You already know what to do. Peace out, guys. I'll see you later.